Folks, I just filmed an entire video about my hand. Beautiful video, probably the best video I ever did without my camera being turned on. So I'm so sorry. This may not be nearly as good, and I'm going to adjust my camera just for a second. Okay, this may not be near as good, but we're going to do it anyway. Well, we'll make it quicker. I had hand surgery on April the 25th. So this is day 1 of week 3, right? I think so. No, week 4. Week 3 just ended. So this is day 1 of week 4. And this was the hand that was operated on, and I had it all nicely wrapped up before, but I'll put all that back on in a second, but I want you to see what it looks like right now. It's puffy. This is my right hand. This is my left hand. It is puffy. That's normal for the surgery. It was quite a bit puffier right after surgery for some time. But I have some still shots of what my hand looked like when I just had the surgery done. They wrap you in this big, huge half cast that goes from about mid-arm here all the way to here, and then your fingers are free, and then your thumb and this area is in a solid cast, so you cannot move it at all. You can't even see anything but the end of your thumb. So everything is solid, just frozen for 10 days. Then they come back in and take out this. I also had a trigger finger that I had them deal with at the same time. So that's what that is. But I had what's called a mini tightrope, where they take a suture that goes through here, down here low. They take out the trapezium bone. That's what the surgical incision is that you can barely see already. It goes through here, comes out, goes through here, and what that does is, rather than them filling up that trapezium blank space, that bone that was causing the pain, bone on bone, rather than that being filled, they essentially tightrope these two together so that that lifts and pulls the thumb out so it doesn't sink back in there, and then that'll fill up with scar tissue over time. And that gives you more mobility in your phone, in your thumb than you would have with some of the older types of surgeries, where quite often they would have to freeze your thumb. It also has a much quicker turnaround. Now, I am not a doctor, and things that I'm going to tell you here in this video are just practical advice that I learned while going through this process, and that is all they're intended to be. You should not follow anything I recommend here or say unless you check it with your own doctor first. Some of it you'll see is just common sense. In fact, all of it's just kind of common sense stuff, but you might not have thought of it before in relationship to the surgery. So I want to give you that heads up first. I am very pleased. I am, it is much easier. I go to physical therapy once a week. It is much easier each time, but I also do physical therapy on my own 3 times a day. Right now I only do it 2 because I'm just learning, but it'll be 3 times a day. And each time it's painful. I'm sore afterwards, but each time I am seeing a lasting benefit from that very quickly. Where some of the other surgeries, and sometimes there's no choice. You have to do the other surgeries. That's a godsend too. But some of the other surgeries take quite a bit longer to get you to the point where you're out of a cast and able to do this. 10 days in, they took off that cast and took out my sutures. And then I was directed to, I wear this, and they made this little device. I believe you can actually purchase one of these that's not 100% specific to your hand, but will accomplish the same thing online. But their physical therapist just molded this thing for me there. So it costs like $270. So I know that can be prohibitive if, like, my insurance doesn't pay for any physical therapy or this. So I had saved up, and I knew I was going to have that kind of expense, but just, know that there are costs involved in this. But this protects my hand as I go about my daily, so I don't hyper rotate my thumb, accidentally snag it on something, bend it back, fall on it. I'm not going to, undo all the good work that's been done. And it's very comfortable. It's hot here right now in Texas, and so it gets hot. But what I did was I went out, and they gave me one of these, but I went out on Amazon and I bought a bag of 10. So they're machine washable, and they're wonderful, and I just switch them out. If I do get them sweaty, if I at night after I wake up, I change them out after a shower. It just feels cleaner and better, and I'm grateful for that. This is, you turn it wrong side out to go under something like this, because you don't want this hard seam pressing onto your hand all the time. The indention will still show, because even this puts some pressure on it right there, but she made a little groove right there which takes some of that off, but it's still there. And then this is just Velcro on both sides so that it can be loosened or tightened. Your hand is going to be swollen, so at first I had it pretty wide open, but now it's much looser. It keeps you from hyperpronating your wrist too, and that's important because after the surgery, that trapezium bone is gone, and it makes your wrist ache quite a bit, and so that just saves some of that achiness. So this is kind of how it looks. I take it off to shower. I take it off to wash my dog. If I'm cleaning around the house, I'll usually get one of those little sandwich type gloves like you use in a kitchen, and pull that over it just to keep it from getting any kind of cleaning fluid or anything on this that would bother it. But I don't like to clean without this on, because I don't want to cause any issues with my hands jamming against something, when you're mopping or whatever. I also tried this kind. These are 100% cotton, very soft, and you can see the knit quality is very nice for something like this. This is more like a bandage, and I think it's the common thing they put under casts before they put the plaster on. And honestly, it's not 100% cotton, and even just that little bit of fiber that's stiff really irritated my incisions that first few days that I had just these. And so I immediately bought these, and I would recommend, if you're going to have the mini Tightrope, go ahead and get some of these, because they'll be worth it to you. And you can use them, as gloves later on if you want to, underneath your gloves, to be nice and comfy. So I wanted to tell you a little bit about kind of things I learned, things to do before, and things that were unexpected as part of the whole process. I hope that that'll be helpful to you. Your experience will no doubt be different in many ways from mine, but there'll be some commonalities, and hopefully this might help a little bit. Before you go into surgery, there's some things I would suggest that you have on hand if you don't have them. I suggest getting shampoo and body wash in pump bottles. You're going to find it very hard to use your non-dominant hand to squeeze things. After a few days, your hand is going to be really, really tired, your non-dominant hand, and you cannot do it with your dominant hand. But with a pump, you can actually pump with this part of your hand, pumping down into this hand, and save yourself a lot of grief in terms of getting that out of the bottle. Gripping is next to impossible. When they first do the surgery, you're in a cast that goes from about here to here, that's very rigid. And after 10 days, then they take that off, take out the sutures, and then you go into this. But when it first comes out of that big long cast, your hand is very weak. It hasn't moved other than your fingers, and your thumb has not moved in those 10 days. And I was really surprised at how weak my hand was, and that first couple of weeks was rough. The first week is very painful, but I'll talk about that in a second. But the second week is painful too, but by the third week it's getting better, and it's yesterday and today has gotten a lot better for me. So I feel like I'm kind of turning the corner. They have these sleeves that you can purchase while you're in this big long cast. You'll need these. You can put a trash bag on and tie it with elastic or something to wash in, but you can also buy, they're $1.99. I got them on Amazon, and they're a thick vinyl, about as thick as this, but softer. And it has a thumb and then a curve that just goes around the end of your hand, and it goes all the way up, and it has its own built-in elastic. And so it completely guards that piece that cannot get wet. If it gets wet, you have to go back and they have to undo it and redo it all again. So have those sleeves ready when you get home, because you'll love those compared to a trash bag. Trash bag will work, but just if you can get the sleeves, get the sleeves. If you don't have one, I would suggest getting a bottle opener that has a handle, or that screws under the underside of your cabinets, so that you just have to use one hand to turn and open up something. You will not be able to use this hand to grip or turn for several weeks, and having that bottle opener will really save this hand getting very, very sore. If you're like me, I have the same issue in this hand as in my dominant hand, but it behaved, it also has carpal tunnel, but because I don't use this hand as much for as much detail work, it is not as painful as this hand. But by the second week, it was getting pretty darn painful. So I started trying to find ways to protect it too in the long run. And the physical therapist said we should be using those things all the time anyway. You shouldn't wait until you need hand surgery to use bottle openers and things like anything that will take some of the strain off of your hands, especially as we age. Get yourself, if you don't already have, some elastic waist pants, some cargo pants, pajamas, anything that you can just slip up, because you cannot pull with this hand. You will not be able to grab anything in that big cast. And even with this, that first 2 weeks, I couldn't hold my fingers together, and I couldn't pull for sure. So you can have somebody help you pull them on all the time, but it just helps a lot if they're loose enough to go up over your hips and tummy if you have one like me, or that can be untied to go up, just so you have some independence, because it gets aggravating feeling like you have to ask someone to help you with every little thing. Again, every journey is different. Sometimes we're in circumstances where we got to depend on people to do everything for us. And you know what? That is God's gift to them and to us, that we have someone who can and will help us. But I know if you're like me, you want to be as independent as you can, as long as you can. So make your life easy with elastic for the weeks that you're recovering. You want to get some coconut oil. It comes in such big bottles, which is so silly, but if you don't already have some that you use at home in cooking, get a jar of it, scoop out, I'd say a half cup, and that'll get you through most of your physical therapy time, even at home. but just scoop it out, put it in a baggie or in a little jar or something so that you can use the rest of your coconut oil just for cooking, because you're going to use it to put on your wounds once the scabs have fallen off, to do scar work. If you don't have ice and heat bags, get some. You can do ice bags, you know, just wrap some ice cubes in a dish towel if you need to. It helps enormously once you get that big, huge bundle off your hand and you're in this thing, to be able to put heat and cold on this. I made my own little rice bags with just some 8-inch cotton that I sewed, squares that I sewed together, left one end open, took a funnel, put some rice in, left it enough so that it would really drape over my areas that I needed to be covered with warmth. Stitch it closed and you're good to go. Those reheat in the microwave 30 seconds and you're golden. And I made 4 of them and I use them still every night. They feel wonderful. Consider your hair. I had medium length hair, which I would have to style. It wouldn't go back in a ponytail or anything like that. And I have had short hair for many, many, many years and just decided to grow out. But I decided I didn't want to mess with trying to shampoo that or have somebody else have to mess with my hair, or, you know, I just didn't want to mess with it. So I had it cut very short, and I'm going to keep it this way. I love it. If you have long hair, of course, you can put it back in a ponytail, and that's great. But just think about it. Think about what your hair's doing and how to handle it. If all you can do is wash it, condition it, comb it, style it with one hand. So just think about it, because you will be able to do nothing with this hand at first, with your injured hand. So just count on doing nothing. Be sure, if you can, to make or buy some frozen meals in the weeks leading up to your surgery, so that you have, you know, things ready that you can just pop out of, or your husband or friends, whoever's helping you, can pop out, stick it in the oven or the microwave, and it'll be in smaller portions so that you can do it with one hand, which is what you'll have to do. So that'll just save you some money and time, and it'll be healthier for you than fast food, which gets old pretty quick. And this sounds really odd, but cut your toenails and your fingernails before the surgery. I'd say the toenails the night before the surgery, and your fingernails the night before the surgery, because you're not going to be able to use a clipper for a very long time. I still can't press hard like that. It feels like a lever is going to break. It takes time for this to all heal. So you want to be able to not have to worry about cutting those nails again for, you know, at least several weeks. And then a bath brush, if you don't have one, is very, very helpful. You can't use cloths that you pull back and forth if you happen to shower with those. So having a bath brush so you can, you know, reach your feet and your back and all of that without having to engage this hand, because this one's going to be, once you get to this point, you can take this off and take this off. But for the first 10 days, you'll have that big plastic over this thing, and you can't use that hand at all. There's nothing that you can grip with. So you really will feel pretty helpless in terms of bathing unless you've got something long enough with your uninjured hand to be able to scrub yourself with. So a bath brush is fantastic for that. Then the other thing is on the after the surgery. I know that there are some people that are adamant that they don't like to take things, or you may not be able to take certain kinds of pain medications just because of the way your body is. But if you are going to take pain meds, do what your doctor says. Be sure you take them after the surgery and keep taking them at least for the first 2 to 3 days. you do not want to let the pain get ahead of you. When you come out of the surgery, of course, they've already given you stuff intravenously and you feel like, gosh, my hand doesn't even hurt. You know, I feel a little pressure. Well, that's going to wear off. And then it is really going to hurt. So even with heat and cold and back and forth, and you need your rest. You need to be able to sleep as much as you can. You need to be able to relax all the muscles in your arms and let that healing begin. And you're going to be stiff and swollen and taking your pain meds, not thinking that that's wimping out or that you're so strong that you can do with, you know, without that. There's no reason to, unless you've got a medical reason to do that. After 2 to 3 days, you can, you know, cut back. I really, after the first, I'd say the first 5 days, I took 2 per day. The last 2 of that 5 days, I took them on time, every 5 hours, the first 3 days. Then the 4th day, I was able to take just 2 and be very comfortable. And the same for the 5th day. Then by the 6th day, I was really able to just take one, you know, sometimes just right before bed, and that was all I needed. After they took that cast off and they took out the sutures, before I went in to do that, I knew that would be painful because things would get moved around. I went ahead and took my medication then, and that was very helpful because I could come home and already it was kicking in, and I just felt comfortable. I didn't have a high dose at all through any of that, but it was enough that I wasn't, you know, just crouched over, unable to do anything. So stay ahead of your pain. Don't let that end up doing you in, because you won't rest. Your swelling won't go down. It just prolongs your recovery. So just be mindful of that. If you can do physical therapy, I encourage you to, even if it's only 1 or 2 times, to do that. If your insurance will pay for it or you've got the means to pay for it, then of course take it several weeks so that you can recover quickly. Sometimes you can't, and I've been through surgeries where my insurance does not pay for physical therapy, and so I had to do my physical therapy on my own. And we don't drive ourselves nearly as hard as the folks in the PT group will, because we are afraid we're going to hurt it, and they know we're not, and they know what we can do. So just having their wisdom for a couple of sessions to show you the basic exercises you need and to encourage you that you're going to get better, you're going to get stronger. They'll be able to tell you that when the swelling's going to go down, just to keep you motivated. So if you can do that, then do. I totally understand if you can't. It makes me crazy that my insurance doesn't pay for it, but it is what it is, and it does pay for the surgery. So that's the nature of the beast these days. Some of the things that I encountered that they don't talk about in some of the videos. When you're doing personal hygiene with your non-dominant hand, it can be tricky. So when you go to the restroom, wiping yourself adequately can be quite a challenge. So just so you know, you might want to practice that a little bit before your surgery, just so you're not blindsided by that along with everything else. I mentioned before about doing the back brush, that was really helpful. When you sleep, you're going to have to sleep with your arm elevated from the time you come with the big huge cast until the swelling goes down and your hand is feeling significantly healed. You're going to have to sleep with it elevated. And they do have a big blue cube, I'll just describe it that way, that is designed for you to stick your hand in, and it will hold your hand so that you don't have to brace it yourself. And that's really nice. And I used that for several days while I was watching TV and couldn't do much of anything else. It did take the pressure off me having to either hold my hand or get pillows just right. It was helpful for that. But at the bare minimum, you're going to need an extra bed pillow to lay down and put this up, put your hand up on it. You want to keep it above your heart level, because if it's lower, it's going to cause your hand to swell more because of the blood pressure going through your hands. And when it swells from that, it's going to throb and hurt, and it's going to make your incisions hurt. So you're going to want to keep it elevated. The doctors will tell you how much time and all of that. So it takes a bit of getting used to. I slept for a couple of days in a recliner in our living room because I was afraid of laying down on the bed and, our husband maybe rolling over and hitting my hand or whatever. So just know that you're going to have to deal with that. Signing things is impossible if your dominant hand, your handwriting hand, is what's been injured, especially in the first 10 days before they get the stitches out. But even now, it's still pretty hard. But so just know that you're not going to want to be signing paperwork anyway. You're going to be on pain pills. But when you do need to sign things, just recognize that you're going to have to sign with your non-dominant hand. And that's just the way it is. Shampooing with one hand is hard, and your hand is going to hurt. Cupping your hand and rubbing it over something, even after the stitches are healed, is uncomfortable. So you're going to be washing primarily with one hand well, it's now, this is like I say, this is the first day of week 4 for me. I would say yesterday was the first day that I could wash with both hands without it hurting. And now it's just sort of uncomfortable and stiff, and it doesn't quite work the way my hand is expected to, but it's not like painful. But before then it was painful. And as I mentioned before, getting shampoo and stuff out of a bottle, getting anything out of a bottle is impossible until you get some strength back in this hand. And you're going to have to use your other hand. So have someone ready to help you. Use pump things where you can. Don't try to squeeze anything other than your exercise toys, because you're just going to make it worse. So, but it does come. So, and usually, your family really wants to try to help however they can. So if you're drinking that bottle of Diet Coke and you can't get it off, you don't have your bottle opener handy, ask someone to help you. Please don't injure this hand or make it hurt for the rest of the day by trying to get something off before you're ready. So I did it backwards. I did it again. I hope some of that information is helpful to you. If you have any questions, I would be glad to answer whatever I can non-medically in the comments. So please feel free to leave questions, and if I don't know, I'll just say I don't know. But if I do, I'll be glad to share with you how I dealt with whatever the situation was. My little contest, if the person is watching, they have not contacted me to get their corner punch. And so I've given them till the end of the month to get back to me and give me an mailing address so that I can send that off. But if they don't, then I'll have it to give as another prize. And I'm going to come up with a better way to get people's submissions, because this one just didn't work out well for that. And I have a lot of prizes to make and give away coming up soon. So I will definitely deal with that and find a better way. And also, if you comment on my site and you don't see it appear right away, don't worry. I set mine to strict, so I have to review them before they post, because I got an ugly post, and friends who are also YouTubers told me it would happen. And, you know, I just would rather just review them. I think, well, and my experience has been that 99.999% of everybody is so incredibly encouraging and helpful and generous with their kind words and thoughts and ideas, and I'm so grateful. It's just the nature of social media these days. So your comments will go out there as soon as I approve them. And I do hope you will comment. I so love engaging with people. And one of the reasons I started this whole process is to have the opportunity to relate to other creatives, to encourage them along on their journey, and hopefully to learn from them, and so that my journey will be enriched as well. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a wonderful day and a great week ahead, and just God bless you. Thank you.